Hey everyone, it's Meg. Thanks for tuning in to The Takeaway as we continue to consider these big ideas about what it means to be human. Today we're continuing our discussion about security, and here's the takeaway. Security is found in dependence. As Harrison discussed last week, counter to what we may believe, security doesn't come from strength and control, but rather through weakness. Weakness is a path that unlocks vulnerability, and vulnerability opens us up to live fully, to live freely. So practically, what does it mean for us to lean into vulnerability? How do we avoid the trap that the good life is only about a life that is lived from strength to strength, all upward mobility, all success? How can we avoid the temptation to just double down on our control? In other words, what do we need to stop doing so that we can start living in security? I want to suggest a few simple things that we can stop doing. So first, stop hiding. When we feel insecure, our first instinct is often to hide. We've come by the strategy honestly, for the Bible tells us that that was what Adam and Eve's first response was after they disobeyed God. And we can easily see it in a child's instinct to hide a toy that they've broken. For many of us, our hiding has now become more sophisticated. We avoid the truth and even hide the truth from others about how we're really doing or what's going on. We put on the facade that everything is fine while hiding and covering up our fear, our anger, our despair. If we pretend that we're secure, we hide the truth from others about ourselves and our real insecurity. When we persist in our hiding, authentic relationships really go out the window. We even can become strangers to ourselves. So secondly, stop managing. Management is really another manifestation of our desire to control. Often this strategy to silence our insecurity looks a lot like busyness, a schedule that is packed to overflowing, or a perfectly curated home or wardrobe or social media presence, and even more. I often think of those trays you used to have for school lunches where every food or drink had its place and doesn't touch anything else. Managing our life in this way is our attempt to avoid the mess of real life, the mess of being human. But our managing only works until it falls apart. Something goes out of whack and you realize you are beyond exhausted and totally stressed out. This life of hiding and managing is really our attempt to be independent, to outrun our need for truth or our need for help, to outrun our lack of security. So what's our alternative? Well, if independence isn't fixing our insecurities, maybe it's dependence that changes everything. Dependence is another way of saying trust. The source of our security truly comes from our trust in God, from our dependence on Him. Psalm 16 is one of my favorite passages in the Bible, and I think this psalm helps describe the posture of dependence. David writes, "I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. I have no good apart from you." And a few verses later, "The Lord is my chosen portion and my cup. You hold my lot. The lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance." And again, "I have set the Lord always before me. Because He is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken." David is showing that dependence on God is the foundation for security. Did you hear it? I have no good apart from you. You are my chosen portion. But David is also showing this depending on God comes in the midst of life feeling insecure and sometimes random. He said, "You hold my lot," meaning when life feels insecure and like the roll of a dice, God holds us. His presence is with us and makes us secure in Him, even when life itself is uncertain and fraught with insecurity. This kind of dependence is inextricably linked with God's presence. We can depend on Him, trust Him, and surrender to Him because He is the God who is with us. And here's the beautiful thing. Our dependence on a very present, with us God does give us real security. And this security actually starts to manifest in our lives. So instead of hiding and managing our insecurities, we can live openly and honestly. When we feel and know security in this way, we can tell the truth about the less than stellar parts of ourselves because we've found that our weakness has been met with love. Living with this freedom to tell the truth is evidence of our grace-given security and leads us to deeper dependence on Jesus and more authentic relationships with others. Dependence on God, trusting God, opens us up to live with freedom and fullness and openness and honesty. We'll see you next time.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound